Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. I'm MaryAnne and you're watching MaryAnne's Mystic Mentions. Thank you so much for being here. I love each and every one of you so much. It means a great deal to me that you have become a part of my channel by subscribing or liking or commenting, because it's just helping me to evolve, and that's super special to me. And I am continuing with my love series. I started at the beginning of this month. If you're new, basically I have tossed the dice, I just moved them. And I do it just before I start the camera because sometimes they fall off, or I may do repeated coupling that I don't want to spend the time doing. But today's sun sign readings will be for the signs of Libra and Virgo. So I do want to say a couple things. Happy summer. Yes, it is here and it came quickly. And I just want to say that yeah, we are going to be experiencing quite a bit this month. It is retrograde season and it is eclipse season. So we've had one in Sagittarius on June 5th. We just had our second one, which is the solar eclipse. The first was the lunar, being the full moon. The solar eclipse was yesterday, and that was in Cancer. I'm still feeling it. I'm sure everybody does, whether they realize what it is they're feeling or not, which I'll elaborate about. And then the third, which is a series of 3 within 5 weeks. So it's very, very powerful. And the third being on July 5th, which will be in Capricorn. Once again, a full moon. And what I want to say is that most of the people that are returning, thank you very much, have seen at least one of the Love Connection readings this month. So I've done at least 2 or 3 on each sign now. And what I was doing was kind of just as a general practice to speak a little bit about each sign, each sun sign, you know, a little bit about their personality, what element they are, you know, what the symbol means and so forth. And then I combine why I think they're incredibly helpful and useful and loving and a lot of times karmically connected to each other. But because I've done that already, I'm just going to shorten that up a bit today and get right to the reading, which is so powerful. And then I'm going to do it under the 4 major categories I like to do for the individual readings, which I'll start, gosh, next week already for July, and then back to the random sun signs and love readings for July and so forth. So I hope that you enjoy this. If you do and you're feeling good about it, just please push that subscribe button for me. I would greatly appreciate that. And comment whatever you'd like. So we've got Virgo and Libra. Now I'm a Libra. And I'm just telling you, you know, you look at your chart, if you ever want to look it up, the personality is basically what the sun sign represents. That is the day, the month that you were born. And every year we each get a month to celebrate that. The universe and the beautiful source that there is, whatever you want to call it, usually brings more magic and luck and just really good vibes, good juju during that time, which is really special. So I always invite those, and this is now the season of Cancer. And I always invite everybody during that time to write down and really ask for, I don't know, 4, 5, 10 things that you want and watch them come into play. And even if it doesn't happen that month of your birthday, it's absolutely being heard, and it is your time, and it's super important. They call it the solar return. You're going to start a new age. You're going to like start again. It gives you the chance to renew and do things, you know, in a new way if you so choose to, whatever that may be. Certainly pertaining to relationships too. And then with the new moon eclipse we had yesterday in Cancer, which is all about our emotions and our relationships, our connections, it's very, very synchronistic right now. So it's a very emotional time and very sensitive time, being in the water element like it is, a lot of Cancer. So with the Virgo and Libra, my whole life, so many Virgo friends as a Libra. My neighbors, I've been here 17 years. They have been together for 30 something, Virgo and Libra. I could go on and on. This is a very common combination, you know, whether it be friends, lovers, soulmates, twin flames, all of the above. Very predominant. Now, another interesting note I'd like to say is that Virgo comes before Libra. So Virgo is the 9th sign and Libra's the 10th. A lot of times when you have that coupling when it's the one before, it makes sense. They kind of, just by, you know, what is that, 7th degrees of, I can't even think about what I'm trying to say. Basically, because they're so close, they kind of osmosisly kind of feel each other's energies and feed off them. Whether you're aware of any of these Libras and Virgos in your life, you're picking up on that energy because it's very close to your month. And so the Virgos usually have energies in themselves that they can relate to in the Libra being so close. And the Libra kind of picks up on that energy as a guideline for them. And then it kind of trickles off to each month, to each sign. By the time you're into Pisces, like I said, that's a combination of all the 12 astrological signs together, and Pisces just has it all in them. So they're just filled with, besides the fact that they too are water. But let's get to you. So, you know, I've got the Libra. Libra is the, once again, the 10th sign of zodiac. They are the air element. They are cardinal because they start the season. Any cardinal sign starts a season, and Libra starts the season of fall. They are the symbol of balance, always wanting justice. These air elements, also the sister elements being Aquarius and Gemini in air, they are very much thinkers. They love to learn and study and use their mind to be able to figure out and strategize anything they need to work through. It's through their intellect, you know, always wanting to expand that, always wanting to see all sides of situations and get further and further into learning more about life. I for one, am exactly like that. I mean, you start this astrology thing like I did 40 years ago and had this passion about, well, wait a minute, so why do I keep seeing these friends like that in the same, you know, birthday months kind of hanging out? And then in my real life, I established that and started my own little investigation, if you will, on the topic, and did some, you know, notes in all sorts of different ways to kind of really figure it out and see just how realistic it is and so forth, you know. And it just gets deeper and deeper. You can never learn enough is where I'm going with this. So there is that aspect of Libra. They love that. Now, they love fairness and kindness. They're diplomatic. They care about people. They don't like confrontation. They are their ruling planet is Venus, so they love beauty and they love luxury, things that feel good, things that look good. They like to look good themselves. They care about that sort of thing. They want to get attention from others. They're very social. Although they can be homebodies too, I, as a Libra, have had great many associations with people. I've been through a lot of groups. I've owned businesses, as I do now. But I love being at home now more. It just depends on your life cycle and where you are. So that can be changeable. And of course, it always relates to all the other planets. If you have a lot of Earth or even water, you may be more prone to want to be home and kind of take in and just take that time to relax and to balance yourself, which is super important to Libras, you know, that downtime. And if I'm talking a little lower, I've mentioned it with a couple of videos, but I got a beautiful new soulmate companion of my own, and he's a Taurus, and he's 5 weeks old, and he's my new kitty. So his name is Eclipse because we're in eclipse season, but I call him Clipper. And I'm kind of really trying to work my readings around his schedule right now, right? So he's taking his afternoon nap, and I'm like, I put him aside downstairs in this little room with his bed and, you know, cat box and such. He's unbelievable. Talk about feeling this was meant to be. I've tried a few other adoptions and it just wasn't swinging it. But so anyway, I digress. But I'm just saying I want to get through this. And I have this kind of little giddy feeling because it's still really new, but he's really quite amazing. I feel really blessed. So you have that Libra, and then you have the Virgo. Now the Virgo is the earth element, right? The stable, the grounded, the dependable, reliable, very analytical. I mean, very comparable as far as Libra and their mind and wanting to, you know, really communicate and debate and kind of, you know, I don't know, talk about everything inside and out, right? Virgos are very much analytical. They will dissect and they will get to the bottom of any subject and they will learn it to the fullest. And they're usually the head of the class. I feel like a big part of their interest, though, a lot of times is really understanding themselves and recognizing how they operate and why they operate the way they do. They tend to be quite perfectionists at times, you know, they want it just right. They're very, not all the time, but I have found many Virgos are very neat and meticulous and orderly. And as a Libra, I absolutely love that. I think I have one planet I know of, Pluto in Virgo. So it's pretty predominant though, because I got to have things organized. I am a little OCD, not terribly, but it's nothing to be ashamed of, you know. I do straighten things out like that. That's calmed down too. But the Virgo is the earth, so they have that, like I said, more grounded, you know. The air is appearing kind of like movable and changeable and active, and the earth is the grounded, more stable, but and maybe even more introverted, you know, at times. They can be outgoing, but I find them to be a little bit more quiet and reserved, I guess is the word. And then they are the, what are they? They are mutable signs. So you have the cardinal with the Libra, which is, you know, the starters, the instigators, keeping things moving, keeping action going, always want to be doing something, being in this pie, being in that. And then you have the Virgo, who is mutable, so very adaptable. They can work in any situation, and I say work because they work a lot, and they work hard. And they are very, very capable of providing for themselves and their families, and they're excellent at what they do. And I find them many, many times, this is just my own observation, to be in the field of helping, you know, just nurses, counselors, healers, just always something having to do with, you know, just the care and the taking care of others. They're amazingly good at that. So I really like that. I could be mistaken, but I'm almost positive that they are the feminine duality and the Libra is the masculine. So that's that kind of opposition that works. We all have a little bit of each in both of us, you know, to keep that balance. And a lot of us, you know, are more in touch with that, which is really important. I don't assign any gender to either of the signs today. It's either or, whatever works, and whatever type of connection of love it is, it doesn't matter at all. It's all important. It all matters that you are together and that you're making it work. Because this has oppositions to it, this particular coupling, and yet it has those strong, you know, core, fundamental, important aspects like the ability to think and communicate and have conversations of intellect and depth, you know. Neither of them are overly emotional, because they can be, but they're more detached with that. Of course, they have a heart and they have feelings and emotions and definite passions. But I think it's more subdued and more detached than other elements. And depending on their sign or their birth chart again, they could have a lot of water, which would bring in that emotional aspect, maybe temper that a bit. So let me think. Other than that, yeah, there's just this dependability, reliability, this deep desire to get to the bottom and to really research with the Virgo and really get to understanding, you know, the ins and outs of what it is they're working on or striving to, and also in relationships. Like, they will work hard and they're not going to give up. They are steadfast friends, they're loyal. And there's a great loyalty to Libra too. It's just different, you know, it's a different type. And quite frankly, I feel like Libras and certainly water signs can really use that grounding influence of earth signs. I'm finding that out more as I age. It's a really good component. And it's especially if you want that permanence. You're going to get it with an earth sign, you know. So it's just up to you. Maybe you don't. Maybe you just want it to be fun for the season, you know, type of thing. And that works too. So that's kind of just a quick synopsis of the personality traits and how they may be the same in some ways, but also different, which is actually complementary. And then I'm going to read to you under some of the 4 major topics of this month, today specifically, and this month and forward. Because as I've said before, and excuse me for repeating myself, I don't know who's seen it or not, but I think it's worth repeating. The eclipses can bring things in extremely quickly and take them out equally as fast, but at the same time, they represent a storyline that's happening in our lives. So from the moment they start with the series, like I said, you know, we've got 3 in a row within 5 weeks. Each one adds to the story, and then that energy and that storyline will proceed for 3 to 6 months and sometimes up to a year after. So you may get the idea of what that storyline is right away. It may have already started yesterday, or it may take some time. But either way, you will be made very much aware of it. It's always about furthering ourselves. When it's new beginnings or even endings, we start again, we rise like the phoenix. There's transformation like crazy happening. Certainly has been before the eclipses, but it was coming. We had the other eclipse series in December, January. So it was trickling this way, giving us little bits of information about what was ahead, and none of us knew to what extent, but it definitely changed our lives. So it doesn't have to be negative though, you know, and even this situation is as hard as it can be sometimes. You know, I'm not working and I want to desperately as a massage therapist. And I have faith. I had wonderful, reliable, loyal clients, and you know, I'll lose some. That's just part of what happens, and then there'll be new ones. And it's what I love, so I'm staying strong as I can. But it changed my life. So yes, I'm right there with you. No sugarcoating it, but I want to accept it as being a way to have sat and really understand things the best I can, understand myself. And then I have this the eclipse brought in eclipse, my new kitten, hopefully for many, many, many years to come. So the transformation will be for many years to come. And let's do it. Let's both do this together and just believe it's positive. Okay? I'd really prefer that. I like to do that. I like to bring that kind of energy to my viewers. I like to feel it within my own body. And when I'm not, I literally stop myself and say, I need some guidance right now because I don't want to go there. I don't want my body to feel that. And it will feel it. It will suffer the repercussions of those thoughts. I've learned that too well now. So let me help you to uplift you and clarify that you can change that, and we can see and believe and create beautiful situations through these challenging times. So let me read to you into some of the 4 categories I like to choose. I see some beautiful, important information here for you. And I like to read the traditional meanings, but then I get my spirit guides and psychic ability coming through. If I get that, I'll simply share that. And I'm going to finish with some beautiful oracle divinations I have, and their guidance is so beautifully said and expressed. So it's just for you as a couple, and some things to look for. Now, this isn't set in stone, okay? You may resonate. If you don't, let it go. It could come a little later. It could come, you know, the beginning of next month. There's no real set time with messages, but whenever you watch it, I think it's important to kind of keep as maybe a reminder, a heads up, because it does not have to mean that's exactly, these are energies that come through giving you some information, but you don't have to totally take it in as being the absolute, okay? You can start to feel it come and say, nope, MaryAnne mentioned this, I'm not going to let that get to me. The very first overall energy we have is the 5 of Wands. That's action. That is the fire element. We had Sagittarius full moon eclipse on the 5th. That represented, as does the characteristics of a Sagittarian, truth-seeking, higher learning knowledge, information, transportation and movement globally, literally, foreign, you know, domestic, just absolute truth, you know, revealing of truth, speaking of truth, breaking away from tradition, the norm, you know, the status quo, all that's being changed. I don't even think I need to be telling you that. I think you're quite aware of that. And we all know it's for the better in many, many ways. So this is very prevalent, but it's showing there's a lot of, I would say, strife and conflict and contradiction comes to mind with these five. Five is changes, it's transformation again. It's working through difficulty, working through, inner conflicts as well. So you too, I mean, you're no different in the way that even if you're at home and at peace, you're still hearing it and feeling it. We all feel it regardless. The energies are there and they're strong. We are connected and we're all going to feel it. We need to decide for ourselves how we're going to let that affect us. And what is it we want to do to make that change, to help with that change? How are we going to be a part of this, Because both of you don't want to sit on your laurels. I can promise you that. You seek truth and justice. You care about that deeply. So though you're hearing this, you want to be sure that you're not taking in too much at once, because it's not healthy. And you'll learn to discern, and you have been deciding what's right for you. And this is the predominant energy message of the Five of Wands. So it also represents, like I said, the fire element. So that's Sagittarius, Aries, and Leo. Might be predominant people in your life right now, and they can be very motivated individuals. They can be extremely passionate about their desires and their interests, and they will speak frankly and abruptly at times. So don't take that personally. You'll know, like I said, exactly what it is, the pertinent things you'll need to be hearing. And you'll work together on it, and you'll decide for yourselves as a couple, which I love. And the next card we have is the Emperor. And that's the major arcana. So this is power, boy. This is the real deal. And this represents generally the sign of Aries. So once again, the leader. Aries is the first zodiac sign. And it represents the power, and no holding back. I mean, all that's been done. We've been patient. There's been a lot of patience. I wouldn't say that Aries is the most patient. It isn't, and that's okay. They're like a youthful first sign, beginning. They have, a lot of times they're very youthful in the way they look, even when they're older. They have that exuberance of a child, that I'm going to make it work. I'm going to start this, and it's going to do this, and it's going to be that, and they think big, and they're just super creative and outspoken, and they want change too. They want to initiate it. They're a cardinal sign as well, the Aries. So either any of the fire signs are going to be very strong, and we're going to feel that kind of energy. We've got Aries, come to think of it. Mars is going into Aries on the 27th, and it's going to stay an incredibly long period of time until January of 2021. So yeah, be careful of that, because there's going to be some inflammatory, perhaps, conversations, but you don't have to get in the mix of it. You've been hearing it already, I'm sure. And so, yeah, just being aware of that energy happening, but mostly the energy. We're talking about energy now. I feel myself, my biggest thing is, my gosh, I need that momentum back. I'm used to doing something, on a fairly regular basis, and that stopped. So now I'm asking for the guidance and the ability to keep that going. And that's what this is about, providing that for us. You're going to feel extra energy by month's end and moving forward, which is really, really great for you. And if you happen to have to move, which just came to me, you'll have the energy, you'll have the means, you'll find the right place. You've got backing, which is beautiful. The new beginnings, like I said, a lot of people are moving, actually, even in my own family. The next card you have is the Two of Wands. You've got a lot of fire. A lot of fire energy. So I'm thinking that either the Virgo in this relationship or the Libra, or both, also have some definite fire elements in your charts, which is good. It definitely gives us that spark we need. You want some kind of fire going on in there, right? And of course, keeping it, you don't want to burn anybody. You want to have that energy and that passion that comes with that. And you've got the Two of Wands, so this is you. This is a couple. The Page of Wands. The Page is the messenger. New beginnings, once again, the beginning of something, the youthful part, the naive, the kind of let's start, the beginning stages of perhaps somebody that's younger, of the fire signs I mentioned, Leo, Sagittarius, Aries, children, You know, there's communication and movement happening perhaps into their schooling. So many variables on that, but it could very well have to do with a child or someone younger, or someone who acts younger. Doesn't always have to be younger. They can act younger and have that kind of, like I said, youthful energy about them. Very common in a lot of the fire signs. So yeah, I'll be curious to see. Do me a favor and let me know, comment. I love it when these are exactly in tune with what's happening with my viewers. That's super important to me. And it happens a lot. So, and then last but not least, we have the Queen of Wands. Oh my gosh. Let me double check. I think it's a sword, actually. Yes, Queen of Swords. Okay. Well, I just want to say first and foremost, Libra, you seem to be very predominant in your energy right now. The Queen of Swords does represent the air element, but it's generally, gosh, I almost want to say Aquarius or Gemini, because the Justice card a lot of times represents the Libra, but it could be Libra. But we're talking about air. We're talking about thoughts. We're talking about reaching the maturity level of understanding what it is we need to know, what we need to communicate, having that gentle approach. We don't have to go crazy. We don't have to try to express ourselves in ways that are going to cause more conflict, certainly not in our relationships. You know, there's something to be said about the diplomacy of a Libra, because they really will do whatever it takes to keep the peace. It matters that much. And they're going to do that in the relationships, because partnerships and relationships are incredibly important to Libras of all kinds, you know. And I feel like they feel the best, they feel the most balanced, and just generally, you know, themselves when they can be in a relationship, when they can be helpful and supportive. And that's what's happening, especially with the Queen, like I said. Now, there's not going to be any, you know, phoniness or anything. There's going to be direct communication with this. You're going to hear some information. I think it's going to be positive, though, if it's not you yourself, Libra, and you're wanting to communicate specific things. It just has a lot to do with your thoughts. Be very aware and careful of them so that you don't feel, you know, low or sad in any way. This doesn't represent that in any way. The Queen is anything but that. She's independent. She's strong. She's about justice and fairness, like I said. This has a really good feel to the relationship aspect, to the love connection. So I'm really happy to see that. Perhaps some kind of a legal matter, a lot of times with the swords that comes through as well. Something positive, something that had already been transpiring. The retrogrades, of course, slow down energy. You know, it's not a time for us to go fast forward in any way. We need to just kind of regroup this month. We've got to just plan for the next reopening, like myself, and more things happening, making your decisions on how you want to proceed safely, which is easy to do, right? We can all do it. But I feel like somehow there's if something was before having to do with a legal case or waiting on money, for Pete's sakes, another thing that's happening to a lot of us, myself included, you're going to hear news. It's going to come through. Got some beautiful energies, and this is the power of that as well, the beginning, the new, getting it together and making it happen, you know, putting it into action. So I love this. This is gorgeous. It's so funny because I was just saying I was going to do it under 4 different categories, but it ended up just being really more just what was coming out. And I'll do the 4 different categories for you on your individual readings that I'll start next week for July on each sign. So this is about the 2 of you. This is about the energies that are coming forth predominantly in all areas. So you'll know what it is specifically. Didn't see a lot about love, so that seems to be good. It seems to be solid. Like I said, we are in a month of incredible emotions and sensitivity. So there is that. But Venus has been retrograde in Gemini for, I don't know, 6-7 weeks. It's going forward in 2 days. It's the 22nd of June, 2020. So on the 25th, that's going to really be beautiful. If there were some kind of questionable things or, conversations that you didn't have answers to in your relationship, they're coming through and they're getting stronger, and they needed to be said and had so you could get through them and get to the other side and build to the next level. Marriage, whatever it may be, even those in long-term relationships, you got some beautiful epiphanies because you can keep growing in relationships. I know this to be true. You're always learning about each other. You're always learning how we react in certain circumstances for the first time, and I just hope that you can feel that strength that's there working for you this month, because it absolutely is. And for the end of the year, we're going to see some lot more changes, but boy, next year is going to bring in some amazing different energies. It's going to go from the earth energy specifically, which is fine, but to a lot of air. So be prepared for that, Virgos. With your Libras, clearly you're okay with it. And it is a beautiful energy. So I'm going to read to you, both of you, your specific guidance from one of my favorite Wisdom of the Hidden Realms decks. And the message that flew out literally for you. And then I'm going to read the Super Attractor Manifestation message to end the reading, about how we can actually absolutely create every kind of life we've ever wanted by feeling it and believing it with everything that we are. We can visualize it and think it and so forth, but we have to feel it into tangible reality. So the Spirit Whisperer, Divine Guidance, Higher Knowing, number 3. I love 3. 3 in numerology is about collaboration and cooperation and working as teams and outside support and help, which I think has been happening a lot, in the last 3 months. The unity is really starting to form as a global, really reaching out, missing people. Like, my biggest thing is, oh my gosh, I look forward to being around people more. I really do. I'm a social person, not crazy, but yeah, I miss it a lot. So let me read to you what it says specifically. I think you'll love. It's divinely loving guidance. As an ally, the Spirit Whisperer comes to you heralding the miraculous and the inspired. She whispers guidance from the divine through your higher senses so that you can hear her wisdom and know her love for you. She is committed to helping you intuit the next right action and steers you away from trouble. The Spirit Whisperer keeps you inspired to move forward, always knowing just in time the correct next step. She guides you to fulfill your highest purpose. When she appears, it's a sign of inspired ideas that with continual action lead to success. That's a very good omen. If your question is about a relationship, the Spirit Whisperer speaks of soul connections, past lives, and great learning through mutual mirroring. And great learning, she will whisper how long, how short, how deep, and how sweet the relationship can be. There were soul bargains made before you both were born here, and an exploration is in order. You may move forward, but keep listening to the Spirit Whisperer for the lessons that the vulnerability of love brings. That literally makes me emotional. You got to be vulnerable in relationships, and I think it really says and speaks a lot to pretty much what the reading was, and it sounds to me as though I think a lot of us understand that, this particular unity and connection has a lot to do with prior lives and a very karmic connection. So I'm sure a certain amount of you certainly understand that, and I love that. I mean, that's a super, super important part in our relationships. Understand that you may have done this many times before together, Fascinating study into the mystical and unseen realms. So your beautiful message for the Super Attractor Manifestation card to hold as a mantra and just to feel good about. When I make joy a priority, brilliant ideas will come naturally. Support will surround me, and movements will form. That's the law of attraction. Beautiful card. You know, just the growth, the lilies, the flowers, the blooming, never ending. I love that. Thank you so very much again for stopping in. I hope you enjoyed it. I would love to have you coming back and being a regular part of my community tribe. It means a great deal to me, like I said. So most importantly, take good care of yourselves. You know, we've been on a long ride, and there's more to come, but I think we're strong and we can handle it all. And that's important. So thank you again. Until next time, take care. Bye for now.